Have the PDF recordings in progress, which is great.
Mhm.
I'm going to switch. That's the thing. So, hang on just a minute. Where'd it go? I'm looking for it. Okay, there it is. So, I was looking at this PDF that I was lovingly given by Susan, which is kind of we read a bit of it last time,
Mhm.
half of it, which is this chapter in the book about the developmental stages from an anthroposophical slash Waldorf slash Steiner perspective. And I was looking at it. I'll just share my screen here. Just a minute. Don't know if you can see it. Uh,
Mhm.
anyway, sorry, tiny screen for me, so I need to move some things around. Okay, so the thing that happens in the remainder of this chapter is about well, to be frank, it's about gender. And I figured that that's a contentious enough topic and debated enough even within anthroposophical circles. I'm not sure I want to dwell on it that much,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Because I think that I don't know what I think about it. I don't know if I can say anything about it without offending someone. So I'll kind of dwell on something else, which has been on my mind a lot lately in terms of adolescent spiritual development. Let's put it that way, if you're okay with that. Um,
Yes.
I've seen really some really disturbing statistics about the beliefs and attitudes of people of, let's say, later Gen Z people. For instance, one of the things I've found is that 60% of them don't believe that democracy is the best form of government, for instance. Can you believe that? Like among the very young, there is a really high prevalence of beliefs that I would have found shocking when I was a teenager. Um, and what really disturbs me about the world of the young today is, to be quite frank, the rise of nihilism and cynicism in a way that I think I was talking with Carol about this earlier, that really disturbs me because I was a teenager in the late 2000s. And I remember just this wave of enthusiasm for people like Obama and this sense of hope that happened at that time. And I don't see that in children today. Excuse me, in teenagers today. And I think I just want to kind of give it to discussion to ask, um, because this is an open question for me. Do you think that any level of cynicism is healthy for a teenager? Is there a right level? Is any level appropriate? What do you think?
Christian, can you put yourself back on as the
So,
face?
so
Yeah,
I'm no
there we
longer a
go.
book.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
face
instead of
replaces.
the book that we're not going to study tonight.
That's right. I forgot I was a book. But yeah, what do you think about that? You think that cynicism?
Thesa, Thesa
Yeah.
has her hand raised.
Oh, I didn't see your hand. Thank you. Go ahead, Lisa.
Um, when I was a teenager, I had a certain amount of cynicism, but it was like uh, on the lookout for hypocrisy, you know.
Yeah.
And I was at a Steiner College, and I was like questioning all and I was 19, 20, but I was like that in South Africa. We had we were the whites, and so we had a duty to be educated. And so we educated ourselves, and we would go out for coffee and have discussions and talk about things and bounce ourselves off each other. And I think that that was healthy. And we learned history. We learned about Hitler and his playbook, and we see it sometimes unfolding in other countries and even ours in some ways. So I think there is a healthy cynicism. And didn't believe in God, went to Catholic school and was, not believing in any of those things. Um, and yet, you know, uh, I wanted the truth. I think teenagers want you to be true to yourself, to your heart, and to be real, you know, and authentic.
Is there a level of cynicism that's excessive? And if so, what's that threshold for a teenager?
Isn't there a thought that there are places and times for the cynicism? For instance, in Waldorf education, in the lower grades up until, six or so, we don't teach anything that has to do with the like
Sarcasm.
like, yeah, kind of a, you want to teach because they have so little knowledge. You want to start with the knowledge of, what is beautiful and what is inspiring. And so you take the stories as they were told in mythologies and other things that were inspiring and beautiful. You don't tear them apart, at that moment in the life of a child. It's not the place, like you said, Christian, to analyze things yet, because analyzing means you're tearing something apart, or you're breaking it apart into smaller pieces and making judgments about it. And then, so we don't do that in the lower grades at all. So there is a place though I'm sure in high school where those things happen, but there used to be this old framework that I loved. It's not a Waldorf framework, but it was a philosophical framework for planning your teaching. And it started out with metaphors surrounding something like a historical epic or something. But what they said is that you move into the teaching of what happened, and then you have discussions about the good and the bad. But in the end, the teacher should bring it back into some kind of whole structure that is meaningful. You don't just leave it at the torn apart section, like where we're just tearing everything apart. So I think even in the high school, there's a place for that in like the philosophic framework used to have a place for. In the end, the teacher should synthesize and bring together some points that are meaningful to the class, that you don't just leave it at the synthesizing aspect of
That's great. That's
Chris,
really
do you think that those children who are so nihilistic today
it. Hmm.
have had um, a real good dose of teachers who have modeled um, a good representative of a human being?
I think that's part of the problem.
I think they've not had enough exposure to human beings for their learning at all, right? Because there's this, you got this two-dimensional thing that will teach you instead of a screen. Uh,
Yes, that's right.
I'm quite concerned about, I mean, we've heard all the horrors about social media and screens for kids. I think we're only just starting to realize the horror of AI chatbots for kids.
Mhm.
That's something that's just starting. You have these little things that will be your kid's best friend. It'll be exactly what.
In Denver, they just had a 10-year-old suicide in the school, in the Waldorf school. And he was a lot on video games. His parents allowed him. And they told him on the video game that if he does himself in, he can reincarnate into one of those powerful figures.
Oh no.
Mm. Carrie has her hand up. I don't know if you can see everybody.
10
Okay.
years old.
Yeah.
Carrie,
Go ahead. Your microphone's off, Carrie.
Can you hear me? It's not telling me that I'm muted.
It's
just barely, you're breaking up.
Now,
Weird. Okay.
Now you sound clear.
Is that better?
Mhm.
It wasn't muted, but I think there's just balance, right? I love the idea of like bringing it back to the good, and that good, like I think in life generally we hope that good wins over evil. But I'm also like seeing with my teenager that he is like the opposite of cynical. Like he just thinks everything works out great all the time. You do. Like I can trust everyone and I can believe everything I hear and read and see on the internet. sorry, I'm in the car where it's quiet and it's got dark. Um, and and I've had to like give him kind of a reality check just so that he recognizes like our choices have influence and like we have to be wise on what we trust and who we trust. So I think that needs to be part of it, right? That's pretty much all I had to say.
Wisdom and street smarts, and I think that one can't replace the other.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, how do you teach street smarts to a kid who doesn't pick it up? Like, is that I don't, is that something a teacher can do? I don't know. That just occurred to me. What do you think, Carol?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I love about the Waldorf education is the stories, right? You know,
Mhm.
and so when the students see these human beings modeling in their lives these events that happen, um, that lives more deeply in the children than just giving them, you can tell them a list of instructions, but when they live it in part, they can pick that up. So literature is really important in having good models of how to navigate situations through the stories that are being told, as well as how we bring the curriculum, and how we create situations for them to problem solve, right? Like they have an experience and they have to navigate and they have to figure out and they have to, bump up against hard things and keep working at it. That's why the handwork is so important. That's why the perseverance and, oh, you missed this stitch 10 rows back. Are you gonna live with that mistake? Or are you gonna rip it out? Like, is this one that you can live with or not, So giving them those skills in that practical little piece then helps them transfer those thoughts and skills, to other things. Something that just kind of a memory that just kind of came to my mind. I was in college when Sudoku really kind of became big, and so I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing these Sudoku puzzles, and it's a logic game. It's not a math game, it's a logic game. If this is true, then this must be true. And I noticed as I practiced those puzzles and that way of thinking, I was able to, in some of my coursework and other situations in my life, my brain was thinking, if this is true, then that is true. If this is true, then that is true. And it was really, I think it's just being in my early 20s and then, this new skill that I was developing. And so I don't know, it felt related. I don't know how it relates to what we're talking about, but it just kind of, that's where my thoughts went.
Logic is important. Chandra talks a lot about logic. I think I might need to tune out here real fast because I'm being needed, as you can hear. Someone wants me. So I'll be voting by raised hand emoji and I'll be listening.
Okay. Thank you, Christian. That's really a really good thought for discussion.
I just wanted to say, I think our biggest struggle with teenagers will be that, like, we're raising a generation of snowflakes, I feel like, that can't handle hard, that that everything has come so easy to them in their life. They don't
Don't
have
use the word snowflakes. It's loaded.
it's loaded.
Can
I
be.
guess like they're like I just feel like they everything comes too easy to them these days and they don't know how to persevere through a lot of things and do the hard work that life requires sometimes to get good results.
I think part of that also is having that one-on-one experience with other people. I have a child that's in this demographic, and the other day they came to me and they just sat down and they drew me a picture of the entire social dynamic of the lunchroom. And it was absolutely fascinating. And like, I've known most of this. Like, I went to middle school, I know how it is. But she was just so enamored with it. And she was having that experience and learning from it. And I think a lot of the time when we have kids isolated from each other or from a community, they're not given the opportunity to do that. And I think you can isolate kids to a certain extent up until about that 9-year change. And then that necessity for community and for the broader world view to come in is what they need. And sometimes that's not pleasant.
No, that's
And
right.
sometimes it is pleasant and sometimes they get a chuckle out of it, but they have to go up against their peers.
Mhm. Thank you. That was just really a great discussion. Our board capacity building this month. We're working on a board governance framework, and Sarah kindly has put this all together and is starting the process of it. It will cover how we work with director evaluation, our board goals, and charter compliance. And we're putting some questions in that compliance document, and I mean in that document, that framework. And we're putting questions that we want to ask ourselves about the director and about our goals and about charter compliance for our board. And we're still working on it. It's just new, and it's on our. And Sarah, did you send that to everyone or just Carol and I?
I've just sent it to the two of you because I wanted
Okay.
to run it by you guys first.
We're going
but
to
I'll be
work on,
happy
I just want you to know it's in the works and we're looking through it and writing it. And we will be talking about this at our upcoming board retreat. So I put a date together for our board retreat. I'm proposing that we work on our retreat for June 6th from 9 to 2 p.m. or from 11 to 4 p.m. We'll have an more intensive Steiner study review of the past year, setting goals for our next year, approving budgets and policies to start in the fall, setting goals and evaluation process for the director. So all of this is in the works. I just want you to know that it's happening. We'll send it out when we have the framework a little more clearly put together and written. But I just want you to know that we're doing that as a board and getting ready for our board retreat. So we're planning to. Were we going to do this in person, Carol, or online? How are you?
I think the board retreat would be great in person if we can. Obviously, we have a few people that might need to still Zoom in, but anybody that could gather in person would be super helpful for.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
I don't think that the board needs to solidify the date until May. If the board is comfortable setting that next month, then that's fine. So we wanted to give everybody plenty of time to check your calendars, check your commitments, and give everyone plenty of time.
I just have a commitment. I'm doing a training for the Honeycomb Cottage School for a week in June. So I have a commitment already. So earlier in June would be better for me if we could do that. So just look at your calendars and keep that in mind coming up.
There will also be, so there will be a significant amount of documentation and like the budget for next year. The budget will be a lot more complicated than we did in this pre-operational year. So there'll be a lot of pieces to discuss and work through and make sure that everything is ready. So having that time to kind of sit and counsel together. It will be an open public meeting and people are welcome to come to whatever location. I'm hoping that by then we might be in our Provo location, or we can still continue to use the office here in Orem. So those are some options for that. The board will also need to set the calendar, for the August board meeting date. And then in August, you set the calendar for the whole year. So those are some of the other pieces in that.
Yes.
So I will be in California the first week of June.
Okay.
Until the 8th. Sorry.
That's all right.
We have a family reunion that's not negotiable.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll everyone just keep looking. And if you could tell me maybe other days in June that would work for you. That's a Saturday, I believe, that we set that June 6th.
Let's start it in an email thread so that everybody can discuss that.
Okay. If you could set that up for me, Carol, that would be great. All right. As far as our public comments, I don't know that we have any that we have public comments that are planned. So we'll move on to review of the minutes from our previous meeting, and we'll need to vote on those minutes. Do we need to go through them since we sent them later, or did anyone get to read those before they came tonight? Do you tell me if you'd like to have time to review those, or can we go to the vote? Carol, what do you think?
Vote until Marta is here.
Oh, Marta, that's right.
We can do a quick recap. That would be great because
Okay. Sarah, if you could do a quick recap for us of the meeting notes from the 17th and the 26th.
Yes. So on the February 17th, we had a Steiner study by CJ about the long spring birth to age 21. Susan talked to us about Charter Board University, Chapter 13. We had a charter amendment proposal we needed to submit a charter amendment requesting to open in Provo District due to options in Alpine District being too expensive for the school. We had a proposal to edit the governing board bylaws to remove the public relations officer and set the minimum number of board members at 7. Alicia Milligan had filled out the application to join the board as a voting member, and she was approved. There was a summary of board duties and oh, do you have a comment or just waving hi?
She was waving, I think.
Okay,
I was
just
waving
making sure.
hi.
She's part of us
My
now.
husband also walked in, so I just keep going. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. There was a summary of board duties and qualifications that have been emailed to the board. We had a building report by Clint. The calendar was delayed. We were going to do that in the next board meeting, as well as the policy review. However, we did go over the draft of the contract for pre-operational Dean of Pedagogy, and that was reviewed and approved. And then we had an admin report by Carol, where she went over marketing and enrollment, the CSP grant, the hiring update, and website update. And then we had a finance committee meeting update from Marta, and she had met with Red Apple and learned about the system and ensured that we were on track for spending.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I think we'll delay the vote on those minutes then, and we'll move to our.
Do you want me to read the second meeting then?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I thought
Sorry.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
The
There
26th.
was also February 26th, where we had an
Okay.
additional meeting for the month. We approved a calendar there. There was some discussion. We approved the draft for the public comments policy, discipline policy, and school fees. They were sent to the review, and there was some discussion. We approved those. We also approved the salary schedule, and we had an admin report on the CPS grant.
Okay. All right. So, Carol, are we ready? Can we move to the building update with Clint right now, even though we don't have Marta, or what should we do?
Clint hasn't joined yet. It's CSP, not CPS, by the way, Sarah.
Thank you, Carol. It's been a long day.
Okay. Clint isn't here to give an update. There really isn't any additional update. We are still on hold until they let us know of a date that they would like to get together to sign. So we're still not able to publish that information. We are still answering parents' questions who contact us, assuring them we do have a building. It's a legal thing that we can't disclose the full location, but also assuring them of our transportation plan to use school buses and the UTA passes and make sure that everybody has equitable access to our location. So we're doing the best we can. We do have that's all I'm going to say about the building, because the other things start getting into other things that I'll tell you guys later, unless you want to move to the admin report right now.
I think we should move to the admin report.
Okay, so let me pull that up. I don't think we're going to need the closed session tonight. That's really all there was about the building. If you guys have questions, I wouldn't delete it yet, Sarah. Because if Clint joins later and you guys have questions for him, you might move to do that at that point. So this meeting's going to be a little bit messy as we shuffle things around. So the admin report, I have submitted the charter amendment application, and we should be able to get onto the April 9th agenda for the State Charter School Board. The application included a request to relocate to Provo School District, our change in the bylaws to clarify the board officer descriptions and remove the PR position, the articulation agreement with Wasatch Charter School. Their board has approved and signed that, as well as ours. So we are proposing that with the State Charter School Board. We also included updating the language in our charter agreement to reflect Waldorf inspired per our trademark agreements. So I'll be attending the board meeting for Wasatch tomorrow night, just to make sure they have all of their questions around the articulation agreement answered, as well as attending the meeting on April 9th. So on April 9th, I don't know that they will ask us any questions, but they might ask us questions about that. So I plan on being there. If there is a board member, it doesn't have to be an officer, but if a board member would like to also join that meeting, when they post their agenda, we should be able to tell around what time will be on the agenda. So we shouldn't have to be there for the whole day. They do also have Zoom access if a board member wants to join remotely. So that's just my request. I don't need an answer right now, but I will let you know as soon as I know what their agenda is going to be and what time. I'll forward that in an email if anybody would like to join me, unless anybody wants to tell me for certain that you would like to join me right now.
Carol, do they usually start at 7 for their board meetings? Is that like a common
Their
time?
board meetings are all day because they're dealing with things for the whole state.
Oh, okay.
So like this is the same type of board meeting where we got our application approved, where we all went up and had the discussion with them in their board meeting. So it's that kind of thing. But we won't have to be there the whole day. The agenda gets posted and there's time blocks for certain things. So we should probably be there 30 minutes before we're scheduled, and it might go a little bit later. But being there within that time block. And so it should be like no more than a 2-hour commitment.
I had one more question that came up this week in my
Yeah.
brain. Is there a way to do a charter or an articulation agreement with a homeschool group, like with Honeycomb?
Because it's from one state school to another. So
Okay.
it has to be,
state
and
school.
the rules around it is from another, because it's a charter amendment for both us and for Wasatch, and it's a part of
Okay.
our charter agreements. And it has to
Okay,
be
so it's a
approved by
charter
the,
issue. Then.
yeah.
All right.
And so it's just a way for charters of similar programs to be able to work together.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's the nature. So the next thing is our CSP grant update. Just letting the board know that we have been sent our capacity interview time for April 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our 5 employees that we have, myself, the registrar, the faculty head, the dean of students, and the dean of pedagogy will be in attendance there. We're all studying up on that document to be able to answer questions. And we also will have the board officers there. That will be 8 people. We've also invited Alicia Milligan as a voting member. That keeps us from having a board quorum and having to post it on a public meeting website. But it still gives good representation for the CSP grant and those that will be a part of overseeing that. We won't know the results of the grant until April 22nd. We also feel really, really good about this application. Any questions about the CSP grant?
I'm gonna have to go substitute teacher if I go,
Okay.
but I can do that.
Okay. It'd be really great if you can make that work.
On a Thursday, I just looked at.
Yep, it is Thursday, from
Thursday.
11 to 2 p.m. So,
Okay.
okay, so marketing update. We have billboards that are live, and we get a lot of people. We get at least 1 to 5 people reaching out to us every day saying, "I saw your billboard." I had a lady call me last week saying, "Oh my gosh, what do you mean there's a Waldorf High School in Utah? I just saw your billboard." Unfortunately, her student is in 11th grade, but she is super excited that we have a presence, and she plans on spreading the word. So look for our billboards along I-15 and State Street from Lehigh to Spanish Fork. And we're getting, like I said, we're getting those contacts. We also have a billboard planned for the exit leading to our school site. The first 2 weeks will still be it goes live, I think, April 6th. And so the first 2 weeks before we get the final word of, yes, we can publish the site, it'll just be like our other billboards, but it's a digital billboard. So as soon as we get permission to publish the site, that billboard will have an arrow saying, "Come tour our building today." So we're hoping that that will also build momentum. We're also working on consistent social media campaigns. We're posting pretty much every day, and some consistent things throughout the week. We've been circulating flyers throughout the communities and businesses and public places, everything from Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain down to Payson. At least once a week, we have someone from the office going to these different locations to update flyers and keep the word out. We've also been posting events on our website calendar and getting our website. The office team has been doing some amazing work to update the website. So I'd encourage the board to go take a look at it. Give us feedback as we're trying to push all of this stuff out. If there's something that's missing, you notice a typo, just send me an email and we'll make sure that those get fixed. But also, please have patience as we're doing this on top of everything else. But the website is coming together and we're trying to make it as easy as possible and as informative as possible, as well as Waldorf as inspired as possible. So the season is also starting for farmers market booths. We have an event every Saturday for the next 3 weeks. Those events are on our calendar on our website. This coming Saturday will be in Springville at the little herb shop there next to Maggleby's on the upper floor. And so that's where we start out. The April 4th, we will be at the University Place Mall in their little garden space there with a booth. And then we have a booth at at BYU on the 11th of April. It's for the homeschool community. It's specifically resources and information for homeschool families with the Utah Fits All. So we have an informational booth there on that Saturday. Traditionally in the past, the events like this that we have been able to attend have really increased our numbers, and we're anticipating large upticks in our applications and enrollments, especially after that homeschool event at BYU, to see those numbers change. Then we have, throughout this season, we might be emailing board members with a request to help us run booths throughout the summer, especially in July when a number of us will be in training for the high school certification for Waldorf. We are also, our freshmen will, not our freshmen, our sophomores will still be required to make up their freshman 32 hours. When you spread that over 3 years, it's very doable. But we will also be offering our sophomores the opportunity to start banking some of those work hours by helping us with booths throughout the summer. So they will always have a supervisor from the school with them at the booth. And they could get 8 hours knocked out in one day to tell people, this is why I'm excited to be a student at Azure Fields. So that is one option that we'll be talking to the families about. We're still continuing to do school visits with junior highs. So a couple weeks ago, I had a dad call me from John Hancock, and he said that his teacher had suggested us as a high school. He knew nothing about Azure Fields and just wanted information. So as I was telling him about our program and the things that we're going to be offering, he said numerous times, "Oh my gosh, it's too good to be true." Really? And he applied immediately. So that was our first ninth grader who applied. And they're super excited to be a part of our community and are spreading the word there as well. So these efforts are bringing things in slowly, but they are working. Scala has still been very helpful. I feel like we would be so much farther behind if they weren't continuing to guide us through best practices as we navigate these marketing efforts. They remind us of best practices in communication so that we don't fatigue our families with sending too many notifications. They help us write emails and campaigns and requests for interviews and setting up all of these things. They're helping us find lists of marketing venues that we can reach out to. What are the local newspapers or local podcasters? They have been a huge support. They're also helping us make sure that our families are contacted in a quality way. So we still feel like they are very worth it and have been very helpful in our progress. We are planning some at Scala's suggestion, we're planning park meetups for the founding cohorts, those that have already applied, saying, hey, come and meet the other families that are going to be a part of our school. And we'll do those at local parks before we have access to our building, and then we can do things at our building site. We've also been asking these families to host informational cottage meetings with their friends and neighbors. And so we're encouraging that kind of participation. We had a cottage meeting. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but we had a virtual cottage meeting last week. Yeah, I think it was last week. And 7 of the at that point 10 families that had enrolled attended that event and got their questions answered and are super excited to be a part of the school. So that was working really well. Now any questions on marketing before I move on?
When people phone, do they get you, Carol?
Usually. So we have an office phone and really easy number, 385-456-1122. They can text or they can call, and it's sitting just there on the desk in the office. And so generally I'm there to answer it. Sometimes it's the registrar, sometimes it's someone else in the office. But they talk to one of us, and most of the time it is me.
And how many children are enrolled so far?
That's
Is
my
that
next
what
piece.
you're getting to? Okay.
Yes,
thank
that's my next piece. That's what I'm getting to. But I wanted to make sure that all the marketing questions were answered first. Okay. Enrollment. This is a little bit more of a difficult conversation. We have 12 students who have turned in applications. 5 of those are 9th graders and 7 of them are 10th graders. Like I said, 7 of those families attended our cottage meeting and are really excited about our program. The lottery date is next Friday, April 3rd. Each of those families will immediately be sent, here's how you enroll, you're accepted. After that lottery date, we're just in open enrollment until our spots are filled. So they're technically going to the bottom of the wait list, which is the top of the wait list because there's no one ahead of them, and they just immediately get turned around with invitation to enroll. Our break-even number to be able to open in the fall is 125. So if we have less than 125 students, we don't have enough funds to run our program. We are supposed to have 75% of that by the end of March, and we are obviously a lot behind with only 12. I did have a conversation with Betty Jimenez from the State Charter School Board to give her our progress report for March. The number that she had when I talked to her 2 weeks ago was 8 students enrolled. So we're already, continuing to increase. They will be discussing us in that April 9th meeting, which is why I want to be there in person. And I plan on taking our latest enrollment numbers. We have 2 farmers markets events, which usually have really good results. So I'm hoping that we have enough movement that we can show that our efforts are starting to pay off and we are increasing those numbers. So if we can show that significant enrollment over the next few weeks, and get 125 students by the second week of May, then the board will be confident in approving us in June to open in the fall. If we don't meet those numbers by the second week of May, depending on how close we are, if we're getting really close, the last day that they have to approve us to open in the fall is June 30th. So if they think like we can meet it in the 4 months of May, then we might be able to get that little extension. If we're too far away from that and our numbers aren't changing enough by the efforts that we're doing, then the conversation turns to what if we defer? So I've been talking with Jeff at Red Apple of what does deferring for a year look like. We do have contingency plans for that. We also feel like now is not the time to move forward with those contingency plans, but continue with our marketing efforts, especially as the needle is starting to rise. We've gone from 1 applicant every couple of weeks to 3 to 4, almost an applicant a day.
Well, and also we haven't been able to advertise the location yet, which is a
Right.
big issue, I think.
I think that once we are able to fully publish and have a party, and I think as soon as we're able to, we have a party at that location saying, hey, here's our location, come and meet with us and fill out your application right now. So I think once we're able to engage in that way, we'll also see some movement. So we're in a space of difficult conversations, but it's not in a space of hopelessness. It's not in a space of we don't think you're going to work out.
I have a question. I saw a petition for including seventh and eighth graders. Is that one of the contingency plans to hopefully get attendance like numbers where they need to be?
That is the second most frequent question that we get is when we can add that seventh and eighth grade. And so we did listen to our community and we did everything that we could to vet that process out. So talked to the state office, the state charter school board, and looked at all of the options. We tried to get as many people on that list as possible. The answer is that decision is dictated by the state legislature in the law as well as board rule, and it is a 2-year process to add those grades. So the absolute soonest that we could possibly do that is to add one of those grades in our second year of operation as a small expansion, which would be one grade level, less than 100 students. Part of me feels like we go ahead and try for that a little bit, especially if our numbers are able to increase like we want them to. The decision would be, are we going to add eighth graders or seventh graders in that second year? Where do we have the most interest? So we need to still collect information from our community on that. The deadline for that application is July 1st, I think. They will review that request in August, and then we have that school year to work on getting those enrollments for that extra class that we will be adding in our second year. So our second year would be adding 11th graders in addition to 7th or 8th, whatever we choose. If we do both of them together, it's a large expansion, and it's pretty much the same process as our original application to be a charter school. So it would be like filling out the full application and sending it into the board. They approve those, I think, in February, sometimes March. And then you have your pre-operational year before you implement that change to make sure that you can get the enrollment for those classes. So it also sounded like there's no exception to this, as well as a feeling from the board, especially since our enrollment numbers are so low at this moment. Why don't you prove that you can execute the plan that you originally came to us with before you try and change things, is kind of the feeling. So it feels like, even though I think we might try adding 7th grade in the second year, especially if our numbers look good, but they probably won't accept a large expansion until our 4th year of operation. So that process would be in our 3rd year, we would start that application. It would get approved in the spring of our 4th year in order to be effective in our 5th year.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
It is. And just
Really,
the
because,
unfortunate circumstance of when we started, we had a direct feeder with one of our schools, and in the interim, like
They
starting
dropped
this
their
school year,
7th and 8th program.
we
Yeah.
lost that. So
yeah, are you talking about MSA?
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids go to that school, and I'm like, okay, do I homeschool? Because what choices do we have? We have to put them into a random public school for 2 years, and then like hopefully, anyways.
And one of the things with our current 9th graders is that some of those students that had to then go to a different school to fill in the gap are now less interested in changing again.
Yeah,
So
of course. Yeah, because it's like another big change rate. Those like truly hard
And
years. like middle school
exactly,
years.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's part of
That's
the
rough.
unfortunate truth. And so part of us, it feels like it would be completely logical to say, but we're filling this need in our community.
Yeah, and
Um,
like arguably, like I know like if we're dealing with like law and legislation, that takes a lot of time to change. So maybe it's like totally just wasting our breath here. But I think that almost seems like the most natural place to scoop up a lot of people really fast is to do the 7th and 8th grade piece and then maybe pick up 11th grade. That's just my opinion.
yeah.
But yeah.
So that is what it is. That's
Honeycomb
the
has a
answer.
7th and 8th.
Oh, does it? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's
I'm
talk about
teaching
that.
7th next year.
Okay. I'm gonna put on my homeschool hat if I don't do that.
Well, it's only we teach 3 days a week, and then we have parents with 1 day a week. So
Perfect.
So, are there
Yes.
any other questions about enrollment or about this process, about the expectations from the
I
state?
put this is a marketing thing. I put your flyer on the Paonia message board and the Hotchkiss message
Oh, we
board.
love
In
it.
case somebody wants to go. They've got teens and they want to school, you know.
I love it. Yeah. If
You
any
know
of
if
you,
anybody calls.
okay. If any of you, so Carrie has been coming and picking up flyers and we've been helping her with her contacts in her community. So if any of the board members want to do that in your local location, we can email you a flyer. We can send you a stack of printed flyers. I will drive up to you and deliver them. So any efforts that you, any ideas that you have, just reach out and say, hey, have we thought about doing this? And
Yeah. Tomorrow night there's an event at MSA for the fifth graders. So I don't know
okay.
if there's anybody in this area that could drop off a stack, but I think you'll get a good chunk of people there
Yeah.
tomorrow at 5.
Willing to do it.
are you presenting at MSA just at the sixth graders? Just
Yeah,
to
we've
tell
been
them?
engaging with them. We've
Okay.
been meeting up and dropping off flyers and different things.
Okay.
So
And Miss Milligan, can you go to a Waldorf school for 7 and 8?
I don't think there is one right here for 7th and 8th. They
In
used to have
Waltham?
at Mount Sunrise Academy, they used to have it, but they dropped it from lack of interest. And I think it's because there wasn't a Waldorf high school, and so parents stopped having hope that there would be one. And so maybe they would have voted differently, but it was by vote. They chose not to have 7th and 8th grade.
Oh, shame.
mhm.
7th and 8th are great years. They're my favorite years.
Mine too.
Mine too. I'm really excited to be able to add that part in our school that has been a part of my my plan and vision from the beginning. And so we'll just follow our process and do the best we can.
Yep.
Okay, so the last thing that I have is hiring updates. We have posted our core positions and have been doing interviews. The number of faculty members is inextricably tied to the number of student enrollments that we have. So everything seems to be kind of bottlenecking right now on this enrollment, but we have to move forward and prepare for faculty so that the best people aren't swept up before we interview. So it's been going really well. We are being very transparent in the interviews about being a startup school and what that means, about how enrollment impacts the hiring process. We are looking for core teachers who can teach multiple grade levels at once and also pick up elective courses in our first year. We also have to be aware of state licensing options and making sure that we're following all of those. If a teacher has a Utah state license, then we get an extra $10,000 to put towards their salary. And so that really helps us to be able to pay them the competitive salaries that you guys approved on the salary schedule. So those are some things that we have to consider. We're also looking for teachers who will be committed to staying for multiple years and building a strong cohort of teachers that will support new teachers coming in every year. So, starting with only 5 to 7 teachers and then adding another 5 to 7 teachers, all of a sudden our culture could get weird if that core cohort isn't strong. We have a lot of things in place with the Waldorf workshops and the professional development and the support through our Dean of Pedagogy and lectures and things coming in. And so that's what we're looking for in our candidates, and we've been really pleased. So we're also working on the offer letters and onboarding process and what the contracts look like. So we're still finalizing that before we send those final things out. And it's pretty standard. The offer letter and the contract will state their salary clearly, and their benefits and their responsibilities as a teacher. Anything else that I have about that? Just some statistics about the applicants. We've had a total of 30 applicants as of today. I think we might, and typically we're getting, 2 or 3 additional applicants a day. Across all of our postings, we've posted math, science, English, social studies, and PE. We've had half of the applicants have been history teachers. So we've interviewed a lot of history teachers. 3 to 5 of those have been applicants for English. We've only had 2 math applicants, but I think a third one came in today. And 3 to 5 for science. We also had about 10 applicants for PE. So we're about halfway through those initial people in our interviews and scheduling more interviews over the next couple of weeks. Many of them have already come to our Saturday workshop, and we have 11 or 12 of them coming this Saturday. And that has been really successful, working with these new teachers, and they go, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be a part of this because now I know. And then some of them are like, oh, well, I'm going to look for a job somewhere else because it's not a good fit. So it's been a really great part of that process, since we can't have them come into our classrooms, for them to get a kind of picture of that. We have told the participants that we've interviewed so far, that we're trying to make final hiring decisions for the first 4 core teachers, because we'll have to have a minimum of 4. So that first selection will happen around mid-April, as we're able to finalize the lease, see what the enrollment trends are. We'll offer those positions. We've also told the applicants that if our enrollment numbers increase, we might offer second choice applicants an opportunity later in May or in the summer, as we need more positions. So we've also let the applicants know that we are filling positions for the whole high school, and they may be invited for a position they didn't apply for. We actually have one of our applicants was really excellent for both PE as well as facilities and maintenance. We had someone with, sorry, my mind went blank, special education, as well as mentoring and leadership, and has really great potential future in our school. As well as possibly an aide and permanent substitute. So we're looking for kind of what are some of the whole needs of our school that we would need to be able to fill from this pool. So that's our progress to hiring. Are there any questions about hiring?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you some advice. If you're interviewing someone, they got a great resume, while they're talking, spill a glass of water on the table. If they carry on talking while you're trying to wipe up the thing, ditch them immediately.
Right. Absolutely. So just a little bit about the interview process. It's not just me. It's at least 2 or 3 of us on the administrative team, depending on who's available around our other meetings. So typically it's myself, our Dean of Pedagogy, and our Dean of Students. Chalice has also stepped in as the faculty department head as we interview. So it's always at least 2 or 3 of us in a panel, and getting multiple perspectives on this person, and asking them questions from multiple angles. And then we discuss the applicant afterwards. We discuss their strengths and weaknesses, what the impressions we had from the interview, as well as how we think that person would fit with the other people that we're considering. So it's a little bit for me as a theater director background, it's similar to casting, that you're considering this position, but it's not in a silo. We have to consider how will they work with the other people that we're considering. And as we interview each new applicant, it kind of changes the picture of the whole piece that we're looking at, so that we can have a strong, cohesive faculty. And some of our initial interviews that were like, okay, we really like this one, we want to hold on to them. And as we interview other people, we consider their position a little bit differently as we get more information. So that's what that hiring piece looks like, and that's what those considerations are looking like. And as we prepare to invite those people to apply. We'll keep the board informed on that so that you'll know about those people.
I have a question, Carol.
Uh-huh.
You can have an extremely excellent, wonderful teacher, but not have them have the heart for Waldorf.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like we are attracting the right teachers? Are they mostly people that are kind of on board with that? Do you feel like you could actually fill those seats pretty easily at this point? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So since we are requiring them to come to this workshop, that has been super helpful. The workshop includes a little circle time. I teach them a song, which is uncomfortable for some of them, and we do the teacher verse at the beginning, and we talk about the importance of these things in the work that we do, and that there's kind of an expectation that these things will be included in what you do. We also have a mini lecture on the developmental stage of it's kind of the whole human being and the different parts of the human being and how we see ourselves and our students from a Waldorf perspective.
The threefold and fourfold aspect of the human being, yes. Which is taught just beautifully by
Veronica.
Veronica, yes, that's right.
So it gives them like, this is the type of conversations we're going to be having. This is the type of professional development you're going to be a part of. Then also Susan does the chalk drawing workshop. And so they're getting these pieces and understanding that there's this expectation that I will have a chalkboard that I have to draw on. And so I think that has been a great help in that process for them to really understand who we are and what we are. Our website has been super helpful. The people at the top of our list, hands down, like a lot of them, they're like, I've never heard of Waldorf before, but I saw this on your website and I thought it was really cool. And this part of the workshop was really helpful to me. So we don't really consider any of them without looking at them both in the workshop and in the interview. So we're putting those things together. And of course, checking references and calling up and seeing what other people's experience has been with them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about hiring?
Carrie has
I'm
her hand up.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm jumping back. I just couldn't figure out when to fit this in, but I just wanted to mention that the admin staff has a bunch of really great flyers that are a digital version as well. So like if you guys are willing to put that on your social media or send that out to your contacts or use those digital flyers as well, I think that's a really great way to spread the word. Just wanted to put a little plug in for that.
Are those the ones from the email that were sent out?
There's more. There's multiple.
Okay. I haven't received any of those.
Well, we don't just blast them out because we are developing like 3 flyers a week to be just on top of rotating and new information. So if you specifically want a flyer, we're happy to get them to you, but just know that we're just constantly moving and go on this.
Okay.
Clint just asked,
I just made one. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted one that like fit what was important to me to share with like my contacts. And so I just made one with ChatGPT, which is kind of silly, but it
a little ironic with the Waldorf school.
Turned out really well though. So I'm happy to send that to you guys.
Could you send it to me, Carrie?
Yeah, I would be glad to. I'll just send it to the.
Did you get the one that Alice finished updating?
Yes. Okay. Chalice did some final tweaks on it for me because I don't have any skills. So it turned out really well.
Carrie, this is Marta. I'd be interested in getting that flyer too.
I'll just send it to the whole thread.
To the board?
Yeah, to the whole board in our group text.
Sounds good. Thanks.
You're so welcome.
Carol, did you say Clint's now here with us?
Clint
yes, I see him
here with us, and Marta is now here with us. So I don't know where you want to get back to in your agenda. We had to skip some things until we had a quorum. So
let's go to Clint first so that he can leave the meeting, and then we'll do the review of the minutes and other voting after he's left, and if he has a message to bring to us.
Okay, I just wanted to give a brief update on the building. And I don't have much more than I had in the last board meeting, other than I think I have passed on to kind of the committee that UCAS is still on board, but they are sensitive to trying to save as much. I think one, they're trying to avoid a hassle on their end, and two, they're trying to pass savings on to Azure Fields. And what that means though is that they have asked for kind of this space in March to not come with any formal agreement, because their contractual obligation ends on April 1st. And then I think they would like to kind of formalize this. I know that is not wished for. March has been a big month as far as everything you're talking about. But I haven't, yeah, I just kind of have to respect their autonomy too, I guess. And we haven't been able to get them to move off that. But they, they're kind of still there. So I do expect them to be agreeable to the lease as it's been described in kind of our previous meeting for that building. I also expect them to be agreeable to kind of some access in April and May and all through the summer, as far as, kind of afternoon and evenings into the building, as well as some office space, even during the day. Our team is running some, we're going to do some discovery on the cost to change the sign out. We're kind of braced for something, I think, between $20,000 and $40,000. But other than that, there's really not much needed in the building. I think for those of you who've been in the building, there's kind of a green stripe through the building because that's their current school color. Just one simple, very probably 2-foot, wide green stripe through the hallways. You could just convert that to a blue stripe. And quite frankly, you wouldn't even have to. But other than that, it really is probably a turnkey building. We also don't know exactly how much furniture and fixtures and equipment they're planning to leave totally yet. But, considering, maybe the more targeted enrollment, I hold a higher optimism that perhaps, you'll have essentially what you need in that building, but I don't know that answer yet. So we'll
Can
try
we,
to get to that.
so
Yeah.
we can't put the signage up till like June or something till they're gone? Is that what, or
No. Sorry, it would be April 1st when their engagement with their current listing brokerage is over.
Okay.
So I would think sometime, now I can't tell you April 2nd, but sometime I would hope in the days following that.
Okay, great. That's good.
And they have
I
already
think you could go
agreed.
public.
Yeah, they've already agreed that we can put up signs that say future home of Azure
Okay.
Fields High School. As far as like fully switching out their sign, probably not until June. But it'll,
But maybe banners or something like okay.
yeah.
Sure. Banners. I frankly, I don't think, considering the growth that's going to have to come to open this fall, I don't think it would be appropriate to take funds and, do that until you're going to be operating. So even if it was the start of the year was a vinyl sign and it converted over after, whatever, right? But I mean, you'll be certified by June 30th, or you won't. So I think between July and August, there could be a sign that would be ready for the opening of school or within the first few weeks. But
Okay.
certainly you could put some vinyl signs on the building.
Okay. That's great.
We're also
Those-
planning a kind of ribbon cutting big event on Saturday, August 1st, a big final setup of the building, if there any of that might need to happen, and just kind of a big celebration on August 1st before our teachers come in on the 3rd, ribbon cutting kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to confirm. So will we be able to share the location after the 1st of or the 2nd of April? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what,
Okay.
yes, we know you need to do that. And so I don't have a date from them. Because when I spoke with them, they said, we don't know if it can be the 2nd, because that maybe doesn't pass the smell test, but I really think we've got to push for some days after that. So, even if we don't have a contractual agreement that first week, I think you've got to go public with this and get that out there. So that is the absolute goal, Carrie, is to try to get this
My kind
as
of
close to the 1st as
ideal
possible.
would be if we could on the lottery date meet at that I think even if because I think it might be their spring break. And if they're not in the building and they're willing to let us like, hey, here's our live lottery, everybody come. Here's your application, fill it out right now. Here's your enrollment packet, fill it out right now. Just get those things going would be my ideal. I don't know if they'll let us do that. Otherwise, probably April 6th on that Monday is my backup plan for those postings. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Just hopefully they understand that we kind of need to get that out as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they do, and they're very empathetic to this. They're also a high school. They also, understand the challenges with enrollment. Yeah, I think they're a good partner in that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could we move
Thank
forward?
you, Clint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you bet. No, appreciate you guys. We'll keep moving ahead. Is that all you need me for?
I think so.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks all.
Okay. Let's move forward with our review with our vote on the minutes, the February 17th and the 26th, while we have our quorum here. Is there someone who could move to approve the February 17th minutes that we've read, that Sarah has summarized for us? Is there someone on the board who could move to approve those?
I move to approve the minutes for February 7th.
Okay.
I
And then,
second the motion
thank you,
to
Martha.
approve February 17th.
Let's have a vote then. If we could have hands raised or the icon that I could see everyone. There we go, Marta. Carrie, do you have a hand, Carrie? There we go. I see it now. And Sarah.
Let me see if I can get Alicia's vote. She did have to step out, but if she can
Oh, okay.
vote,
Do we have our quorum already though?
I think we still
We
have
have
a
Carrie and
quorum, but
we have Carrie and CJ, but you just
Yeah.
want to have her part of it. Okay.
yeah.
All right, I understand. So I have myself, Sarah, Marta, Christian, Carrie,
She was here to review it, so she should be
Lisa.
able to give
Okay.
input on that. I'll let you know when her vote comes in.
Okay.
And I can always update later with her yay or
So we
nay.
have a unanimous of our quorum anyway, so we can move forward. Then do I have someone who could move to approve our February 26th minutes as summarized by Sarah this evening?
I move to approve the February 26th minutes.
Thank you, Marta. Do we have a second? Someone who can second that motion to approve the minutes for February 26th?
Sarah is raising her hand to vote.
Oh, there it is.
Who
Sarah.
seconded? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a vote on the February 26 minutes. Hands raised or an icon. All right. We have myself, Sarah, Marta, Christian, Carrie, Lisa. Okay. And we'll add in Alicia if she comes back with us. All right. I believe the only other motion we have to make is to end our meeting. So how does that, Carol, does that square with what you're looking at?
I think so. There wasn't a whole lot of business to actually conduct on this.
No,
It was mostly just
not this time. Yeah.
information and updates.
Oh, we just have a quick note about
Our finance committee.
Our finance committee, yes.
So Marta, based on our last conversation, we're just still on budget. I did want to share with the board that we got notice of the revolving loan. That email said Azure Fields Charter High School applied for a charter school revolving loan on December 16th, 2025. As you will recall from the committee meeting, all LEAs were asked if they would be willing to accept less than they applied for due to limits of funds and a large pool of applicants. Azure Fields initially applied for $300,000. Today, the USBE board approved a loan in the amount of $200,000. We will reach out shortly with a promissory note requiring signature. Once the promissory note is signed by both USBE and Azure Fields, disbursement of funds should occur within 2 weeks. So that was dated March 12th. I think that promissory note is coming in the mail, and so I've been working with our office staff to keep an eye on that document. And as soon as we get that signed, we will have the additional 200,000 in our bank account. So that's the progress on the revolving loan. We still have a balance of over 60,000 in our bank account from the startup grant. And so we're on budget and should be totally fine as those funds hit our account.
Is that loan only for buildings?
No, it's actually not for buildings. That loan, in that application that the board approved the budget for that loan a few months ago, and in December. So we put things on there like a few computers, the additional office staff that we've hired, their salaries actually come out of that loan amount. So
I mean, 200,000.
yes. So out of that 200,000, we're buying supplies, we're doing marketing, so there's other things. So even though we haven't gotten those funds yet, the budgets at the end just say this much money came in for these things, this much money went out, kind of regardless of when those funds came in. So we're keeping those on budget. For the startup grant that we received, there is an accounting at the end of the year of what we used those funds for. And so we have to align all of the budget codes to the budget that we originally sent in to the state. So we'll have those documents in the June meeting for the board to reconcile the budget and work on that, as well as approve the budget for the next year. The revolving loan, we told them this is our plan for using the funds, but there's no return accounting of we had to use those funds in those ways. So they know that we have a plan for using this money. We do need this money to meet our plans. But ultimately we get to use that 200,000 however we need to fill in the gaps.
But it's still a loan.
It's a loan that we start paying back next spring at a really good interest rate.
Okay.
Thanks for giving that, Carol.
Yeah,
Yes.
and those loan payments are figured in all of our budgets. So
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I'm going to read the closing verse for our board meeting tonight. The healthy social life is found when in the mirror of each human soul, the whole community finds its reflection, and when in the community, the virtue of each one is living. Rudolf Steiner. And can I have someone propose to adjourn our meeting this evening?
I propose.
Thank you, Lisa. And a second the motion to adjourn our meeting this evening.
I, Carrie, can second that.
Thank you. Let's do our vote, please. Hands up or icons. 3. So we have Christian, Marta, and we still don't have Alicia back.
No, but I will let Sarah know what her final vote is. I assume that she would approve the minutes. So I'll just forward that information when it comes in that can be added to the minutes. And I'm sure she would approve to adjourn the meeting.
To adjourn the meeting. And thank you all so much again for coming tonight. And thank you, Marta, for coming in, and Thesa for coming in when it was a little bit difficult with this change of our time. I really appreciate you both.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
So have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, board.
Bye. Thank you, board.
Bye.
Keep up the good work.